I actually pulled up your bio. Okay.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Bio.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes, okay, so we have Andrew McFadyen-Ketchum here, who is our SIU MFA alum. Andrew is an author, editor, and ghostwriter. He is author of 3 poetry collections, Fight or Flight, Visiting Hours, and Ghost Gear. He is the assistant director of the Owsley Fork Writers Sanctuary, also the founder and editor of poemoftheweek.com, the Floodgate Poetry Series, and the Apocalypse Now, Poems and Prose from the End of Days. He's also the acquisitions editor for Upper Rubber Boot Books. Please welcome Andrew.
Hey. Okay, that wasn't good enough. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop down. I'm gonna slowly rise. As that happens, I expect a uproarious applause. This is kind of weird. My kids are front row and they're just like, not gonna do it. I thought in the introduction.
Welcome home, baby cakes.
Thank you. Well, this one of my mamas. I got all sorts of mamas, and all sorts of mama drama. That was quite a show. I was here in 2017 before I had this family here, and watched it at Judy's, and it was. But today, I think Judy, we agreed it was even more spectacular. Amazing. I couldn't help but go woo! I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I just can't believe it. So I guess we should have put this together already, but it is a bit ridiculous to do a poetry reading right after a lunar or a cosmic event that won't happen for a long time. I'm not sure I can follow that. But so here's what I'm going to do. So I have 3 books of poetry that I published. Ghost Gear I wrote here, exclusively wrote here, and revised and whatnot, and defended as my thesis. Visiting Hours I started here. And then spent about 10 years after post-graduation working on, and published the day that the MBA shut down for COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's kind of awesome, personally. Took the pressure off, right? And then this book I published just over a year ago, and I wrote in Judy's yard. The SIU, that's not a joke, that's actually true. So the SIU connection is strong. So I'm gonna read 2 poems from Ghost Gear, 3 poems from Visiting Hours, and 2 poems from Fight or Flight. I'm going to read a new poem that my kids can't be here to hear. No, I'm kidding. And I think, it's interesting. So, I'm promoting this book. I'm out doing the things to sell it for whatever reason, to whatever end that is. But now I have 3 books, and it's you should read from all of them. You should really show your breadth of work. And so that's what I'm going to do. Hey, thanks for being here after a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event that went really well. I'm excited to share some poems with you all. So I'm just going to read the first poem from Ghost Gear. While Judy was my thesis advisor, and while we were working on this book, she, come on in, thank you for coming. At some point she said, you need a thesis poem, which I really enjoy telling that story. Not that that's much of a story, but that short little story, because it's just thesis and poem is not something you often hear in the same, phrase. But the idea was, and I think she still pushes this, is that you should have a poem that illustrates, shows off what you can do as a poet immediately, and also sets the tone for the entire collection. So this is singing. What do I know of God but that each winter I thank God for it? No spiderwebs snagged in the blue stem, no horseflies at rest in blossomed cones of henbit, no slug trails pinned to the cool hoods of cars. We are creatures all, stillborn to the language of split pine rails standing in their pickets, ice glazed to bone in every rut, the stealth tracks of jays, a sleepless ideography in the snow. But we are not entirely alone between the mountain ranges. In these hours condemned to darkness before the sun jars open the face of February and the red flare of Mars grows dim. Just outside my door, the bur oak is wintered full of grackles. Hundreds of coin-eyed scuttles ornamenting its branches. Here, my breath plumes gray, and the distance brush catches fire. The wind, if you watch, is calligraphy. The stars in winter, a weightlessness. The grackles are doors, rasping their flight plans limb to limb. Some limbed with light, others black. Rising, my arms have long been open. Stepping across these thresholds, I step across these thresholds. Singing, I sing.
Nice.
And I need claps. Like, I'm not in like the whole, like, I don't need a clap between every, I do. I need the encouragement.
We're gonna give you the love, don't you worry.
Man, there's an energy that got lost in poetry for a while, and I feel like at least some of that's coming back. Like, yes, you can make noise. It's okay.
Absolutely.
I can't introduce this poem. I remember when I was working on this poem and I realized there were two poems in the poem and I split them, and all of a sudden it was just like, bang, I had this thing. This is the word damn and the word God.
This is a good one.
Who knows what strung those two words together on my tongue the summer Chris moved in across the alley. All those long June hours we tiptoed the rusted out railroad, begging for the vibration of approaching freight, or playing Yahtzee, camped out in the dome tent pitched in his backyard, searching in the numbers for any sign of first light. But my money's on the afternoon, I stepped into a mining bee's hive, mid-stride catching a touchdown spiral with time running out, their home woven among the roots of Chris's peach tree. For weeks thereafter, St. Anne's Catholic Church across the street called, "Repent, repent." I, the kid who stormed the neighborhood in escape of bees, crying countless curses, every inch of my body scorched, a hymnal of goddams tucked between bicep and bird chest. Chris's father poured 2 gallons of gasoline on that construct of whispers, and my father let me watch him drop a lit match into the earth from our high kitchen window. That night, Chris gave me a mason jar of dead miners curled up like wolf spiders swept out from under the couch, and all night I dreamt of the mason's magic. Bees rising on invisible spindles in the grass, and that pause between time and conflagration. But my mother, she decided that it was Chris, who through the darkness of a few nights later she heard screaming God dams with each strike of the father's leather across the son's back. I cried when my father told me I no longer could play with Chris, and he wept when I said, but Chris is all I have. Chris, who cut a carp a day later, his prize strung up by an arm's-thick tree branch to its breathers. Chris, who liked to strum the testicles of his pit bull Rex, mean as hell, kept chained to a sycamore by the alley between our yards, but when Chris was around, turned into the sweetest of things. Chris, who I thought of this morning, as fog lifted to reveal 3 acres of wheatgrass frosted silver reaching for the pole star like a bed of nails, and I was flung back to the day I stumbled from Chris's basement with a 2x4 rust nailed to my heel, Chris unhooking Rex's chain, the panic bitter in my mouth, my eyes squeezed shut in the warm slap of Rex's tongue from foot to nail, from nail to foot. Chris and I bearing witness to the healing power of a dog's saliva as he rubbed Rex's balls, and Rex groaned as blood eased from my skin. He and his father moved late that fall, chasing factories deep south, and now Chris lives in that place where everything is true.
Yes.
Some say his father took to Evan Williams. Some say Chris simply became what he already was. And I wish I could say I've run into him in line at the DMV or at some bar I've come to for the dancing, and there's Chris, stitched into fishnets, Neon strobes like moons in his vinyl knee-highs, eyeshadow thick as clay, tire tread. Wish I could say we've laughed over beers and told old stories, slapped one another on the back and argued over the tab. But Chris's father didn't bother to clean the bony knife sequined from yet another Sunday on Arcabutla Lake. 3 largemouth reserved on their bed of ice, Rex outside howling. And now I wonder if this explains that summer of goddamn's Christial down all those dreary railroad miles, how we always knew at the splits which curves turned toward the switchyard and which paid the path to Tennessee's Jerusalem. So glory be to the goddams who cried all those hours it takes a knife to the gut to kill a man. Goddams to the hours it must have taken Chris to die. Goddams to the carp we never caught, to the knife destined for Chris's gut. Goddams to all dogs too weak to loose their chains. Goddams to all the stories we do not tell. To all fathers angry with their sons. Goddamn. If I could, almost. If I could, I'd take Chris in my arms. I'd get down with the grit and linoleum and patch that rift of skin with my tongue. I'd hold the boy drunk between 2 lives. I'd freeze ourselves and wait for the sculptor who pulls greatness out of stone. Our 2 bodies draped one into the other. The word damn and the word God.
Woo!
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Celie? Good? Thumbs up? Yeah? I got the double thumb. It's amazing how poems like take on new meanings through time, even for the people who wrote them. Thank you, Judy, for helping me write that. Yeah, I'm really glad that we had it. Okay, so visiting hours. So, oh boy. So in 2003, one of my best friends, I grew up with her all my life. Our families were like the best families. She took her own life by jumping from the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Nashville, which we live about a mile from, and I see pretty much every day. And so when I was here, I knew that I wanted to write a book about her. I was writing poems about her already, and I took the winter of 2007, and all I worked on was the title poem before I changed the title. and I had that poem, this big giant thing to work around when I then left the program, and then I literally spent 14 years only working on this, 10 years only working on this book. Like, once Ghost Gear was done, which took a while, I definitely edited post-thesis for a couple years, but any new work was about my friend Mary. I did that for 10 years, and this book coming out really, really allowed me to finally let her go, you know. I haven't written about her since. So I'm gonna read the first 3 poems from this, from Visiting Hours. For Cynthia in February. Rapid, their blooming way overnight, how they remind me another year has turned, these boughs of yellow stars, effulgent at the feet of fence posts, on the shoulders of empty highways, resplendent, these firebrands of a life half remembered. My God, I say to these gold flames, golden only briefly, what's become of you, girl I loved? My God, I hear her say back, boy who never said, I love you. What of these harsh winds? What of this hard dream of yet another cold front, yet another dawn? Smith Lake. We wanted to touch the moon, that flash bulb that bobbed on the heat-glazed pane of Smith Lake. So we dove, Mary and I, fully clothed from the dock, paddled slowly that body of water as chorus frogs and crickets moved back and forth on the reed-thick shore. There, at the lake's dead center, we joined arms, our bodies ringing the moon's reflection. Treading water, Mary cupped her palms beneath that beacon, lifted it to my lips, and said, "Drink." And what could I do but follow when Mary sidestepped buoyancy and dove beneath the moon, dropped easily through zones of cold and colder water, the frog slicked starvines and hydrilla swaying heavily in the drifts, her hair held suspended by the water's 100 hands. If only I could go back to the moon's conception, when it first broke free of the earth to fly that first tethered orbit around the world. If only I could tell the jade rabbit's story, trace its outline from ridgelines and craters like the man in the moon. That rabbit, lore says, grinding herbs in an urn for the immortals. That moon returned to its rightful station overhead. I want you to see Mary making small motions with her hands to keep from rising as we held our breaths. Who knows how long until she rose, thick ribbons of reeds unraveling from her ankles. Mary surfacing so slowly, it was as if she climbed not water, but sky. Mary backlit by darkness. Mary slipping into the moon. This is an oddly apropos poem. I didn't really think about it. How you doing, kids? Hanging in there? Yeah? Rock on? They're like, when do we go home? Thank you for being here. I wanted to have a family my whole life until I found you guys. Perfect now. Even now, 10 years later, it's hard to believe it was the road's grip alone that kept us breathing. No moonlight as we maneuvered the hairpins and jogs of the fire road we climbed, the new river hammering along in its groove through the chinkapins. You could say we desired transcendence, wheeling our way up Proffer Mountain, headlights panning wildly as broken lighthouse beams. You could argue we were just young, sleeping all day, flinting fires by night, no tent, only our mummy bags and boots, the frayed edges of the tarp, satellites pinging across the cool fix of stars. It's Mary's voice, not these images, that keep calling me back. That one evening of snow that fell from the moon, its broad, almost winged flakes turning back into water, just moments above the campfire's flames. That weird middle ache of last dark, stoking the campfire all night until the faceplate of the ridgeline tilted open and the sky's dull tint drained back into the mountain like a bruise. It's Mary's face lit by fire. It's the night jars calling out into the quiet for a name. Whip or will, whip or will. It's Mary saying back, will, will, will. Man, you know, it's really wild too. Like, I just realized something in this poem, this line, it's Mary's voice, not these images that keep calling me back. And then Mary's voice is so much a part of this book. I mean, I'm like the dumbest poet alive. Like, I never know what metaphors I'm making. Like, I've got a couple of friends who read my work and they're like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. That's what that red wheelbarrow is all about.
Own it, baby.
But in all seriousness, it's like these little gifts that come, you know, like your subconscious was really working. Because like I said, I mean, for 10 years, it was just her. And it was just like, it was a total mess of poems. And, you know, like, again, you know, Judy helped me. She read this book 50 times. I mean, it was like, you know, we were like on the cutting room floor all the time, figuring out how to make this book work. And for all these little gifts like that, these, you know, you had something working. You knew what you were doing, but you didn't know that you knew what you were doing. If you knew nothing, it would at least be something that you knew that you knew nothing. But what's that quote from? Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to read the first poem from the latest collection. And by the way, I have copies of all these books. If you buy one, it's $20. If you buy two, it's $40, and if you buy three, it's $60. I'll give you a little bit of a discount. I'll give you $5 off if you get two, and $10 off if you get three. How about that? Okay. 1 for 10, 2 for 20. And I can take your money. Don't worry. I'm a businessman, okay? Okay, I can take like everything. Don't worry about it. If you have money, I can take it. I got Venmo, I got Cash App, I got PayPal, I got Facebook, I got Square. I can like dial in your credit card. I can call a number and just like have your life savings. So this first poem, it's funny, my wife Karen here, she said it today. She goes, how on earth is that gonna, so it's like this Southernism, I think, to say like, how on earth, is this gonna work, And so she snuck her way into my third book in many ways. She didn't sneak her way in, it's about her. But anyway, the point is the first poem in this third book, she inspired it. It was also featured on The Slowdown, Major Jackson's The Slowdown. He read it and did a little thing about it. That makes me cry every single time I read it. He's really awesome. Just really, just a really good person to know. On earth. If the dead don't know how on earth to live, how on earth can the living? Mistakes stack up like nights. We get in over our heads whether or not we truly love the ones we're with. No one asks to be dropped onto the glass like this. And though we do not rehearse our deliveries, we find ourselves delivered nonetheless into these thin-skinned vessels we call the self, in which we love and lose and love and lose again and again. And we must learn to trust the stars are fixed in the ether, despite our first fevers. Our mothers either wringing their hands over us in our cribs through the night, or trusting our illness burns brightly, yes, but nowhere near as bright as us. Thank you. That's a sonnet because it has 14 lines. I mean, that's as far as I'm going to go, guys. I don't have it. Y'all, excuse me. That's as far as I'm going to go, y'all. All right, what am I going to do? What am I doing? What am I doing? Dying Park. Okay. We're starting. 2-poem warning. Now I'm going to get out of the way and hear some of y'all's work, which is exciting. I'm excited to see what y'all are doing here. As I was thinking about this reading, it occurred to me that I came here in 2006. And so I have known Judy and Allison for almost 18 years. Wow. Yeah, not bad, not bad. And to come back here and to continue to stay connected has been important for me. So thank you again, everybody, for coming. This one's a little lengthy, so if you fade away, you can come back. The Dying Park. Forgot that Chris stars the 2 poems. Yeah, a little weird. All right, The Dying Park. It was Chris who first saw the glowing snake that lazed across the alley between the Save-A-Lot parking lot and the park where our pets went to die. A king snake, Chris believed, at least 6 feet in its dozing length, its chain link of black scales magically aglow. They approached the thing at first with stealth, 7 skinny kids in their swimsuits and scabs, picking at it at first with sticks, then with the tips of their palest Jordans and Dions, until, emboldened by stillness, they double-dog dared each other into leaping its stalled machinery. Boys proving they were men to girls proving they weren't afraid of nothing. Day turned to night in that alley. The The sun shut down and the moon rose up, the children's faces so brightly lit by snake glow they looked like cities in the dark. And though he should have seen it coming, the boy flinched when Sam's foot slammed down on the snake's sparkling head, and Tim grabbed hold its writhing tail, and Chris slid it open from anus to head to see what that king was made of. What did they find within? A family of 7 gray mice agleam with an even more powerful light. 1 mouse per child, they fished each glowing body from snake meat and held them like jewels in their hand. Which glowed first, the boy wondered, snake or the mice it ate? And who would believe them, or in all of that glow? Like stars, Emma said. Like Jesus, Sam said. Like something from another world, Chris added, as he began to bring his bright blade down again to see what glowed deeper in. That's when, all at once, their mice eyes opened. And with a blaze of light and a newborn's wail, the mice leapt from their hands to scatter into the green world of the dying park. For some time, those kids just stood there. Chris with knife poised above his irradiating palm, Sam's mouth agape, a streak of what looked like the guts of a firefly smeared across Cassie's shirt, the snake hanging from Tim's grip, and black ribbons and blood. What had they witnessed? They wondered as they watched what glow remained from their hands in the creek that flowed between storm drains between I-40, that bright substance briefly illuminating the dark water with a seam of light that snaked into the mouth of the sewer system. Were those mice resurrected? The boy wondered, the rest of the way home and the rest of his life? Or had they merely caught them dreaming when they unzipped that king's belly and gathered them into their hands? The boy has dreamt many times of those glowing mice. He often wakes to floating down a river in the dark, submerged in the glow. Fish darting like shooting stars all around him, the body of that snake bobbing on the water before him, which he gathers in his hands and paddles back to the bank and lays it on its back and pulls the sides of its split belly together like stitching a wound, like swaddling a newborn, like jacketing a toddler eager to play in the snow. Then he coos at the snake, limp in his arms. Then he gets back in the water. The glow is gone, but cannot be for. If he swims hard enough with his one free arm, perhaps he can find it again. Keep moving, he tells himself as the undertow builds. Keep moving, he tells himself as he feels the child unraveling in his arms. Keep moving, he tells himself, over and over. What else is there to do? So kids, in case you didn't get it, that poem's about all 3 of you. Okay, so I'm gonna read one more. Thank you for your patience and your time. I have to find it. I took a picture of photos. I'm a little verklempt. The reason I'm verklempt is my whole life I wanted to have a family. And some of the people here know that I gave it a good shot, and it didn't work out. And so I got a divorce and then lived in Judy's yard for a couple of years. It's supposed to be funny. Thank you. Lived all around, you know, so I lived in a tent for basically 2 years, and that's what this book is about, trying to find myself. And to be back here with my kids, it's making me very moved, because I found them. I don't know if they feel good about it, but I do. So, okay, I'm gonna read this last poem. So, when I published this 3rd book, I was sort of talking about how I was retired, right? That was like kind of a joke I was making, but I was serious about it too. I was like, I'm done, I'm good. You know, the Holy Trinity has been completed. It's a ridiculous thing to say, but I did grow across the street from a Catholic church. It's, you know, in the second poem I read. And, you know, I grew up in the South, and threes is like a thing. I got 3 kids. I got married 3 times, once to my first wife, twice to the one right there on the same day. It was a beautiful day. We got married in a waterfall and privately, and then went up and got married with everybody else. I've got 3 books with 3 sessions each. I like 3s. I'm like, I should retire. So anyway, I also was sort of like unhappy with the poetry world. Can't imagine why. And so I'm a little upset with all the cowards. None of whom are sitting right here right now. Everybody else is somewhere else. But it was bothersome. You know, it was a little bit disturbing to see how quickly when I went here, you were not told you could not write about something. That wasn't a thing. That's the story now. So for all of you who are in an MFA program right now, I'm so grateful that I was here earlier. Because the world y'all are running in and trying to move in is a dangerous one. Literally dangerous. And also nonsensical in many ways. And also righteous in many ways. So if I was thinking about this, if I'm gonna like give you all like a bunch of advice that you didn't ask for, here's what it would be. Write with wild abandon. Because that's what I'm doing, and it is such a good feeling. Write with wild abandon, and then when you strike on something that you want to say in a poem, take it to the people you trust and be like, okay, is this gonna work? And be honest, have a dialogue with each other about how you can or can't do something, or how you can or can't make something work, okay? If we do that, I think we'll get to a good place. The place we're in now, I feel like it's kind of moving a little bit more there, but it's been a rough time. So for those of you who are navigating that now, all the love to you. Write with wild abandon, and find people who will take care of you if you made a mistake. How about that? Okay. So here's my poem of wild abandon. Self-talk. It's funny instantly. Sun up and the goddamn avians have woken me yet again with their non-stop self-talk. The cardinals bleed and the understory is bitching. The cardinals blaze and the understory is bitching in the brush about the neglectful first wife he had to leave on their 10-year anniversary. The goldfinches are the lit ends of candelabras, carrying on about the time their angry father slapped them across their faces like hammering a fish's head against the rocks to halt its heart because they'd stolen a cherry-flavored Tootsie Pop with the tiny racist Indian in his tiny racist headdress, aiming his tiny racist bow at a racistly named star from Shell Station across the streets that you all grew up on. Then there's the crow, who wants to believe is above all the mama drama, who will not stop whining about his vindictive ex who still stalks him in his beautiful, feathers smooth, and always glistening dark wife, and their babies still in the nest. How when the crow shit hit the crow fan, his crow friends who thought were his friends turned out to be anything but his friends. Fuck all. I camped out by this lake for some peace, but here I am assaulted again by yesterday. Why won't they grant me a measure of solemnitude? Why must I wait to this version of myself, endlessly squawking to myself about everything that has happened to myself? A meteor the size of the city, it is destined to annihilate could streak past, and I'd be too distracted by grievance to notice its high-pitched whine through the atmosphere, let alone the leaves of this lone Japanese maple spiraling down to the forest floor like tiny red marijuana leaves, this human-made lake rapping rhythmically against the shore. Translate this, I say to the passerines so goddamn noisy in their homes and sky. Sing this to your little ones as they grow within their sky blue egg shells and sleep. But I'm not sure I would talk them down from their ledges of rumination and self-hate if I knew their language. Could I teach them the coping mechanisms I've learned at the hospitals and crisis hotlines and church basements and therapy couches? How to crouch on a warm stone on the beach of some human-made body of water and find certainty? I think I'd rather call them in one by one to my poem with my own song, cardinal, crow, sparrow, finch, and fold them into origami versions of themselves and place the paper forms of all our haunts on the water, where they bob 1, 2, 3, 10 times before they dissolve. Paper is silent until someone comes along to muck it up. How will I find myself again? How can I make all those who hurt me pay? We are. I should take this off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want to leave it on?
Thank you, Andrew. That was amazing. Let's clap for Andrew. Thank you so much. Okay. It is 4:46, but I don't think anyone else has this room rented out, so we're going to keep it moving. And this now, introduces the open mic part of tonight. So I hope you're all excited. Would anyone else like to read some original work for us tonight?
Why don't you start?
Yeah,
All right,
you're your
I
first
will
one.
start.
Yeah,
I will
it's
start.
your first one.
Woo!
Yes.
All right, and I'm terrified of breaking this, so I'm not going to touch it. I am short, so I will use this because that works for me. So I will be reading...
Tell the people what your name is.
Oh, yes, sorry. My name is Lyra. I am a third-year MFA poet in SIU's wonderful MFA program. I'm graduating in May, and I'm so excited. I, like Andrew, am also an SIU alum. We're here for undergrad. From 2014 to 2018. So I've known Allison and Judy some time now, and they're both wonderful and have helped so much with my thesis. So very grateful to also have this ongoing relationship with such great mentors. Okay. I do have it pulled up. So I will be reading, I'll start with the first poem in my thesis, which is a poem in which it is suddenly August 31st, 1996.
Oh. Okay.
In the middle of the night, a gloved hand raised me from between my mother's inflamed legs to the halogen bulb of a hospital room, like an offering to the closest thing to the sun. My skin, blood-scuffed and vernix-coated, glowed under lamplight like an anglerfish's esca. The world below me, a jaw agape and chocked full of jagged teeth and foreign waters. And as the doctor lowered me into this world, my mother's chest, I laid my head and accepted it. What else was I to do but crave, by nothing but intuition, milk from my mother's breast and warmth from her embrace? I was no better than a fawn. How I wish I could have been born screaming. How I wish I could have told her, put me back, put me back, put me back.
Woo!
Thank you. Alrighty. This one is newer, and it's also in the thesis, and I was talking to, John McCarthy, who told me that I need to not do as many one-word titles for my poems, and he was like, hey, take the time to think of a title, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So this one is Song of the Black Kid with the Eczema-Asthma combo attack. Lichenified elbows, backs of knees, scratched raw, always, the avoidance of swimming pools, triggers, grass, dogs, excess heat, summer, grass, dogs, excess heat. Asthmatic inhales, shortness of breath, a rescue inhaler that tastes like shit. Hydrocortisone stickiness, ointment breathed beats onto my skin, dug open. The red seeps into my jeans on weekends. Oatmeal baths, bleach baths, help me baths. Nights sleepless, recliner bound, nebulizer humming its albuterol song. I have scratched holes into my arms again, and all I can think, don't get blood on the couch. And I'll do one more. I don't want to take up all the time. So, all right, and the last one, when he could pick us up, which is meant to mirror in my thesis a different poem, which is when he couldn't, and this one, shout out to my father, shout out to alcoholism, when he could pick us up. We flew down I-55 in that F-150 like comets jettisoned from the sky's slack jaw, swerved through each lane like a slurred tongue, fumbling for something to say. This time, no talk, no forced interaction. Ethan in the front seat wired in, Vanessa and I in the back gripping the ceiling handles. Still, the South City lights shone like planets. I could swear the street lamps were light haloed like Saturn's. Benton Park's lake like an oasis on Mars. When he sped past the red light off the ramp, I opened my mouth, a silly child with silly thoughts. Say something, I dare you. He stayed in the car once we parked, but we all heard later the stumbling, fumbling for the couch, TV turning on to a pre-recorded 60 Minutes, the host's voice filling the room, sound siphoned in among clinking glassware. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to read next, please come up and be my guest.
Yeah, gonna be you.
Thank you, Brock, Mr. Brock Story.
I'm not gonna stand up there and let everybody look at my whole body. No way.
Even though you kind of look like Patrick Swayze from Point Break?
I will.
I mean, I'm just saying.
He does,
Stop,
right?
that's his favorite.
Now
It's a hump.
I'm feeling a little.
Feel the love, baby. Feel the love.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, I'm Brock. Larry introduced me. I'm reading 3 poems. The first one's about my friend Nickel, and yeah, I'll just get into it. 2 years after he overdosed. Naked at the window, still shower wet, the sky, attic skin gray, and suddenly snowing, I dress and step into the cold, the quiet world weighed down with winter, where American robins, clustered midair, scatter like flowers vase-trapped, bottlenecked, blooming, exploding, where the drier vent fog collapses like a body, like a breath, like Nickel lowered into his father's bathtub of water and ice, dead. And here, the snow melts on my face, in my warmth. I get a lot of dead friends here. Funny, okay. This is about my friend Skylar. He was murdered about 5 years ago. He was a drug dealer, and one night, things went south. Yeah. It's called It's Not Enough. If it is not enough to say my best friend is dead, I miss him. And what if I could barter for Skylar's return? All my scrounged change worth only seconds, a minute at most with him in that lost world we shared. World under the world, reached through parking lot nights smeared with liquor, street lamps benzo blurred, slurred skies. Our Indiana dilated, out of focus. If I can choose the seconds, the most of a minute, give me a morning, summer, 17, Skylar and I hung over. My childhood bedroom, the floor mattress, red banded, the accent wall, the blind shuttered, slices of sky purling the arched window like the sun seen underwater. Give me the slow rise to the body, its ache after night, its tremors, its cold sweats, not much. Just the moment my mother enters, places a plate of grilled cheese between us, silent but saying, eat, live a little longer. In the sound of our chewing like a prayer, a spell, a promise he could keep. Yeah, this next one's about both of them. It's called No Night So Dark. No night, summer night, winter night, moon smudge night, night clear, night clinging like wet clothes to the soiled skin, all goose pimpled and dew touched, sleepless, full dreams, still night like a stone, smooth, blank. No night is so dark that you cannot see the darkness and make out the shapes where ghosts congregate like coyote, panting from carry on to carry on, pulling apart what once lived, cord by cord, until the grass blades too are blanketed black and blood dried and death ink. The coyote is not a kind teacher. The ghost is full on my flesh, is of the flesh, and any night, spring night, autumn night, wind whirled night, night long, night short, night shadow striped like far mountains breaking the horizon, far mountains growing from the hilltops in the middle distance. All nights they visit these ghosts, they visit these dead of mine. Even after death I need them, and in my need keep them suspended like burnt stars, like coyotes wilting by their hind legs on chain link spikes, writhing in their failure to fly. I keep them here because I have not yet found the language to apologize. Nickel, Skylar, I'm sorry I could not keep up and let you go on without me. When I gave up liquor and pills and blow, I gave you up too. I wish the life was not worth so much, that I was stronger, that I could say, like Dante's Brutus, like Shakespeare's Caesar betraying family and country, I will turn from the living, but I can't. I can't. So these nights, color-drained night, grayscale night, night shining like a black and white film print, luminous darkness buzzing, brilliant black, caked and scratched with the sheets of grime we collect in our living, timid night, storm night, these nights when the ghosts, the dead, my two dead friends like coyotes hunger howl for a taste of what they once were, circle sulk with gnashing teeth around my bed, I shiver, I avert my eyes. I am alive, but living the way ivy lives, a slow creep, a crawl to the light reached by standing on all that does not rise or ceases to rise, all that is suspended between heaven and earth, tangled up in the knots of another's need. Yes, no night so dark, no nothingness so new that I cannot recognize the faces pressed into the darkness. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.
Who's going now?
Who's gonna follow
I'm
that?
staring until someone comes over. I'm giving up. I'm gonna go step in.
Well, I will come up and stare.
Thank you.
We could draw numbers.
I'll share.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay, welcoming Sarah Navala to the stage. Share some work with us. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Go Sarah. Go Sarah.
So, I'm a fiction student here, and I haven't written a poem in a very long time. So these are older pieces. So this first one is called On the Subject of Bodily Intrusion Without Being Touched. I'm lying here under the imposing giant eye, keeping my arms crossed over my breasts, wondering if you see the unhatched eggs in my abdomen. Avoid making eye contact with you as you stand in this small glass room taking pictures of my insides. I hear the shutter click of my solidly silent observer. Know that the sweet parentheses around my beating heart are appearing, stretching on your screen under the slender oval of my bones from elbow to wrist. You did not tell me your name, and now you are cocking your head at a part of my body I have never seen. Yeah, it's a weird feeling. Does my pelvis have a jack-o'-lantern face? Is it a splattered Rorschach reminding you of a ship devoid of passengers? I don't even know how x-rays work. Your voice comes over the loudspeaker. I can tell your lips are making gentle contact with the microphone, and you say you'll get to the bottom of this. I wonder if you pause at the notches in my spine, squint and screech your metal stool closer to the monitor when the wobbly O's of my kneecaps pop up, curious to see if something pokes out from underneath. desperate to find an explosive or even just the fuse.
Yes.
And then, thank you. And then kind of keeping in trend with reading poems about people who've passed away. This is a love poem I wrote for someone who actually passed away at the beginning of last year. So this is titled, One of Few Sunny Days in Galway, Ireland. The Aran Islands are visible as the mist and fog retreat, Mons pubis trio of the sea tanning in rare light. Inishmore is not so coy, the sunshine a revelatory spotlight. On the western coast of Galway, we have solid proof of the company we keep, just a ferry ride away, the largest of 3 emerald mounds. I know each jagged curve of Galway's edge, the dips of the bay, its blossoming stalactites feeling out for water, offering refuse for the swans bobbing near the market. I know the appendage of Salt Hill, protruding furthest into the sea, scaled with sharp, tightly knit rock formations the color of steel. Late in April, we drive from one end to the other, swallowing the abandoned carnival in one quick loop, your hands confident on the wheel. The rusted roller coaster track towers, then shrinks in the rearview mirror, from imposing to contained to gone. Joy Division blasts, our feet pounding the floor of the car. The clouds part, pried by some kindness of the sky. The fog and rain abated in our favor, offering me your illuminated face as you lean over, saying, we are the coolest fucking people in this city. The air in your car is all rashers and blood pudding, the tails of our breakfast scent nestling around us. We ignore the timer, about to run out, my plane ticket a notice of eviction from the days that quickly turn into full weekends, of nights with our toes hovering over the edge of the bay, waves playing catch with the moon's jittery reflection, the ember of the joint glowing under your nose, the small passing touches, my head on your shoulder where it fits.
No.
I know each jagged curve of Galway's edge. Now I trace it with the pad of my pointer finger on a map with curled corners, clinging to my wall with tired Scotch tape. I close my eyes and feel for the raised tread marks made and left by the tires on your car. Thank you. Can I share a piece actually by another poet? Is that
Oh,
weird?
of course.
Okay, so in Grieving, this is a poem I've loved for a long time. I'm a big fan of Matthew Dickman. This is a poem I read of his when I was like 16 and actually had on my wall for a long time, but I didn't fully get it until I really was grieving someone. So this is just Grief by Matthew Dickman. When grief comes to you as a purple gorilla, you must count yourself lucky. You must offer her what's left of your dinner, the book you were trying to finish. You must put aside and make her a place to sit at the foot of your bed, her eyes moving from the clock to the television and back again. I am not afraid. She has been here before, and now I can recognize her gait as she approaches the house. Some nights, when I know she's coming, I unlock the door, lie down on my back, and count her steps from the street to the porch. Tonight, she brings a pencil and a ream of paper, tells me to write down everyone I have ever known, and we separate them between the living and the dead, so she can pick each name at random. I play her favorite Willie Nelson album because she misses Texas, but I don't ask why. She hums a little, the way my brother does when he gardens. We sit for an hour while she tells me how unreasonable I've been, crying in the checkout line, refusing to eat, refusing to shower, all the smoking and all the drinking. Eventually, she puts one of her heavy purple arms around me, leans her head against mine, and all of a sudden, things are feeling romantic. So I tell her, things are feeling romantic. She pulls another name, this time from the dead, and turns to me in that way that parents do, so you feel embarrassed or ashamed of something. Romantic, she says, reading the name out loud, slowly, so I am aware of each syllable, each vowel, wrapping around the bones like new muscle. The sound of that person's body, and how reckless it is, how careless that his name is in one pile and not the other. Thanks.
Sarah. Would anyone else like to share? I love that we've had such a beautiful turnout. Thank you guys all for being here. This just makes me so happy.
Thanks to you, Lyra.
Yes, oh my gosh, Ulysses. Yes, please share something.
Yeah,
if
come
you
on,
want to.
Ulysses.
Yeah, come on up. Okay, welcome Ulysses, everyone.
You're dressed like you go to school at SIU.
I came dressed for the Eclipse.
I am Ulysses. I'm a poet from Nicaragua, and I'm here at SIU doing a master's in applied linguistics and linguistics, fun stuff. So I want to read a poem first. This poem its title is Rush Hour. In the darkness of my bedroom, the corpses are seeking again to seize the body overwhelmed by its debts. They shove me around, claim the privilege of having died. With his elbow, one of them broke one of my ribs. At rush hour, my bed looks like public trains, with people hanging from the doors. They go piling bone on bone. They step on your feet and hit you in the face, touch your ass, and the stench of so much corpse saturates my eyes, my nostrils. I refuse to vomit. I refuse to listen to the story of their agony.
Ooh.
And this is a piece that was published in Grassroots.
Oh, okay.
The name of this piece is Customer Service. If you are a serial killer and have as a vocation tortured and dismembered bodies for the simple pleasure of doing it, but are tired of dealing with the details, studying the victim, learning their habits, using force or persuasion to catch, manipulate, and hurt them little by little, while taking delight in seeing how they lose the battle and surrender to your will. And if taking care of the dirty work, blood, stench, spilled guts, hair, body fragments, etc., suddenly grosses you out. If all of this leaves you exhausted and despondent, and you no longer enjoy the art of killing and torturing, don't worry, we are the solution. Our agents are here to help you. They meet you in a nice place, and while you enjoy dessert and its corresponding cup of coffee, they inquire about your modus operandi, the type of characteristics that make you fall in love with the victim, what you dislike, the specific moments of the entire process that you enjoy more intensely, etc., etc. Once we complete your profile, we assign you to a field specialist that will do the dirty work while giving you the chance to experience, with the least amount of effort, the greatest possible amount of pleasure that often comes from defiling and crushing the dignity, or rather, the spirit of another human being. We offer reasonable prices according to your needs and preferences. If you're not happy with the results, don't worry. We give your money back, and the first murder is on us. In our company, the customer is a priority.
What was the name of the company?
We have to make it up.
Thank you so much. That was honestly really funny. Would anyone else like to share? Oh, Salam, yes, please. Feel free to come up. Thank you. Welcoming Salam Ode. Hello, I'm Salam. I'm a third-year MFA in fiction. And I got really nervous, but I felt like I wanted to do this since it might be like the last time I do it in a while, since I'm graduating in May. And I got really sad thinking about that. So this is a poem about the sky. The sky as we don't know it. The birthmark spilling out Jupiter's stomach is a magnificent storm. A Leviathan dream erupted into a nightmare, saffron ochre, bright and bleeding, like the convulsive curiosities of spirits trapped on Earth. I'm one such spirit, probing and meddlesome. I want to know as fervently as I want to remain simple. What I mean is that I ache to commiserate with the suspended rocks beyond my reach, to dust a pinch of void onto my tongue and taste its confusion, to walk along the edge of Neptune's Erigo ring, where probabilities hang by a dimly lit strand of bravery, waiting for a witness, willing and barefaced to offer acceptance. And what I mean is that I ache to stay still, to know of nothing but what the infinite neurons flickering in my brain like to conjure up. Vermilion rain, chortling blades of kelp, dancing. And you are one such spirit, adrift at city, lost between grieving the pavement at hill's collapse beneath your boots, and begging the clouds to relinquish their thrones long enough to encapsulate you in their tears, so that maybe then, you or I can rest in the tender knowledge that we are the rain, the hurricane, we are the sand, its surface warmth, its belly bursting with a crystalline core, and we are our mother's mornings, our father's silent thirst for pride, raptured and impossible. We are the fallen fig gone rotten, the starling's hunger for its bruised insides. We are the wasp and the queen and the crumb.
Oh my God.
So nice.
That was so good. Oh my gosh. Dude, what the hell?
Yeah, keep her here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, would anyone else like to share? We'll do our last call. Yes, yes.
The guilt trip of this is our last possible.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Alexis.
All right. So this one doesn't have a name because I wrote it last night on the fear that I was going to get looked at and be like, you're here. You thought you were here to support the people who are going to make you read, but I know I'm going to get it. So it's loosely, somewhat, slightly, got some Eclipse things going on. I woke up to Dana on the roof. It was one of those things, oh, this is also like micro and or flash fiction. I'm afraid of poetry. Don't kill me. I woke up to Dana on the roof. It was one of those things I knew without knowing, less than fact, but more than feeling. In high school, a boy I grew up with said, "You only like freaks anyway." He was right, and my freak was on the roof. I made my way slowly, knees already quitting despite me being only a quarter way through life, though I suppose that assumes I'm living to 100. I'm not. She told me this in tea leaves. Though I don't know how much I believe it, I certainly think about it a little more than I'd like to. I don't like tea. I drank it just as a shot for knowing something I couldn't touch. At different times, you looked at me and said, "You only know how to live with pain. Don't know who you are about it." And all I could do was blink in response, not knowing what I didn't know, not even aware of its absence until that point. And so I had climbed up to the roof, not liking the height, but knowing I didn't have to think about it until it was time to get down. And I hadn't fallen yet. There were risks. My knee scraped against the shingle, layer of skin roughed but not bleeding. The sun was hot, but it was nicer outside than in, less stuffy. I closed my eyes, but it made no difference. Didn't truly stop the light any. I had my father's dishwater gray eyes, and they only ever hurt me, sensitive to light. Dana was laying up there, perfectly aligned with where I could sleep below. You can't be doing this, I told her, because that was easier than saying, I don't want you to be doing this. She ignored me, which wasn't new. I lay down beside her, maybe a foot away as compromise. A coyote used to sleep under my porch, and when she had pups, I left out raw beef for her, not wanting something to happen to her, we'd have to hand nurse 6 squirming pups. Suppose I could have called sanctuary. Suppose my neighbors, distant though they may be, would have wanted me to kill them. I didn't want to do either, and so I fed her. I kept her close, and now I live in the night still. Even if it's not them, I still believe it. I don't know why I didn't hang around me, why it was my house she chose to haunt. Answer trying to be simple, I was easy. I had a temper, but only for myself, my own failures. I didn't give anyone else trouble. I didn't ask questions, I didn't mind silence. If anything, I appreciated. Pleasures of being alone without being alone. I'd stop locking my door because it's easier to accept the risk of someone else entering than was to keep sitting there listening to her pick the lock. We lay there, watched the moon meet the sun, my light eyes bare, and I hoped to God I'd go blind for my bid sear through me. It was the only way I could live with it. Hey! Okay, thank you so much, Alexis. And that concludes our open mic. Thank you guys. Yes. You were just snapping. Okay, cool. You got the attitude. Yes. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I mean, this trip was amazing. You guys really made this happen. You guys made this a reality. So I'm just over the moon with excitement. So thank you. And do not forget, right, that we can all purchase Andrew McFadyen-Ketchum's book, 3 books. We have those here and the other 2
Ghost Gear, the other 2.
And visiting hours.
Visiting hours and Fight or Flight.
Fight or Flight.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe earlier you said you were doing 2 for 20, I think.
1 for 20.
1 for
2
20.
for 35.
2 for 35.
3 for 50.
And 3 for 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my undying gratitude, which is really not valuable for much.
It's actually pretty valuable. I mean, you can get a lot by bribing riders.
I mean, we did put you up in our house for like 3 days.
That's
like, you know, it's valuable to know us. You know?
The alum network is strong.
Yes,
it is,
right.
it is.
It's getting stronger every year.
Yeah, it is strong.
It's building. Okay.
And then after this, we're gonna go get some food. If you're wondering where that is, just ask us and we'll tell you because we haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, all right. I'll just be here. Just come find me.
Sign here? You gonna sign it right
I'll just sign right here. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
If you're interested in getting books, come on down.
Okay, guys. Let's walk out.
I'm gonna buy a book.
I need a pen though.
I have one.
I have
Everyone's like, I have.
I never had a pen. It's embarrassing, but my wife.
I don't know. I have to decide which one I want to get. I mean, I really liked what you got from Ghost
You need to get a pen from Travelstat.
Yes, that's not bad idea.
Pens are amazing.
Do you want to go get the car pen?
No, I was gonna. I don't know where my purse is exactly, but it
Celia had it a second ago.
Yeah.
Oh, sure somebody else.
Celia, where'd you put my
Okay, so
purse?
let's see.
Yeah, I'll just hold it. No, you're good. I'll just hold it.
Celia, where's my purse? No, you held it.
This is like the Genesis. So
ma'am.
this is the one.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
also
look at
to
you.
your-
Look at you. You were so
Babe, the child.
so baby.
Mere
There it
child.
is. There it is.
Yeah, I hate this.
Okay.
This is the one.
Okay, let me get my money thing.
Your good graces.
Get your money. Get your money.
Yeah.
Bye.
Also,
Oh, my phone died.
yes.
Oopsie.
It's a left turn.
Okay, guys.
Where's my other phone? This phone is dead.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
Okay, guys.
You and your
Let's go
two
get
phones.
the iPad.
There it is.
Oh.
Well, so we'll see how this payment goes because my phone's dead, so I can't actually process.
Oh,
We'll figure it out. Okay, all right. How are you doing?
Okay. Probably like Venmo.
Okay, let's pray.
Let's pray.
Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Your phone is